Okay, so section 2.2, part C, solving absolute value inequalities. So I wanna go over some of the homework with you guys, but before we do that, let me just show you why this should be kind of familiar. Okay, so give me a second. Let's just get down to the notes part here. So how to solve absolute value inequalities. Okay, and we're going to do a real quick recall of something we've done before. Okay, but how do we solve absolute value inequalities? Now, the recall problem is more of a, this is what we used to do, this is what we should know how to do, and then let me show you the new stuff, and you're going to notice it's pretty much the same thing, right? You'll notice it's pretty much the same thing. So here we go. If we start with the recall problem, something we've done already, what you're supposed to do is get the absolute value all by itself, which it is. I made sure it already was. And then you're going to break this up into two problems, right? You're supposed to say, okay, I get x plus 2 equal to 10 and x plus 2 equal to negative 10, right? You guys literally just did this on the quiz, right? This was part of your homework for last week. Once you separate them, you got to solve them both. So we'll subtract 2. So again, this is just review. This isn't brand new lesson or anything like that. And we'll subtract 2 on the other one. So we get x equal to negative 12. So notice my answer is negative 12 and 8. Okay? I mean, great. We did that. But we already knew how to do that. So this is how you solve an absolute value equality, an equation. Okay, now what about an inequality? So let me give you an example of that using the same equation. Okay, notice the only thing I changed was the inequality, right? The only thing that I changed was the inequality. So I'm going to deal with this the same way I did the other problem right above, but two things have to kind of change in these inequalities, okay? So first off, you want to get your absolute value all by itself, which again, this one is. I made sure it was, so we don't spend extra time doing that. So we're going to break this problem apart. So I'm supposed to write x plus 2 and a positive 10, and we're going to keep the inequality less than or equal to. And then the other one that I write, x plus 2, I'm supposed to put a negative 10, but notice I am going to switch the inequality as well. So let me highlight that really quick for you. Okay, we have this right here is different, and this right here is different. Okay? So x plus 2 less than or equal to 10, and x plus 2 greater than or equal to negative 10. Okay? So at this point, I can start solving. Now, I do want to remind you guys about something. You see how the inequality is pointing at the absolute value? Okay? So it's pointing at it. That's because this is an AND problem. Okay? So you got to remember that. Okay, this is an AND problem. So that means when you graph your answer, they should be colliding towards each other. Okay? So, all right, let's keep working. So on the left equation, I'm going to subtract 2. Or inequality, sorry, I'm going to subtract 2. I get x less than or equal to 8. Notice the similarity here. Okay, that one and that one. Okay, the only difference is the symbol, right? And then let's solve the other one. We'll subtract 2. So we get x greater than or equal to negative 12. Notice again the similarity there. The only difference is the inequality. But notice how the work was done identically. There was no like difference. I didn't have to learn a whole new skill. The only thing that was different was the stuff that I highlighted for you guys. Instead of using equal signs, right? we used inequalities. We had to flip the inequality when we changed the number to a negative, right? When we change it to a negative, we flip the inequality. So that's all you have to do. The rest is stuff you know how to do. Now, we do have to graph these problems. Remember, this is an AND problem. So let's go ahead and graph this. Whoops, that's the wrong type of graph. All right, I need an 8 and a negative 12. That's a long way to go. So I'm going to go by 4s, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and graph this. We're going to go by 4s, okay? So I need a negative 12, so I'll go negative 16, negative 12, negative 10. I'm sorry, negative 8, not negative 10. Negative 4, 0, 4, 8. So that covers everything. We're going to do this kind of quick because we did lose some time with some tech errors. So this one right here, okay, when I graph that one, x less than or equal to 8, it's going to be a solid circle at 8, and it's going to be going to the left because the inequality is a less than, so it's pointing to the left. Now the other one, x greater than or equal to negative 12, that's going to be another solid circle right here. And it's going to be going to the right side because it's a greater than or equal to, right? So it's going to the right. Now the answer should be where they have the same lines. So right there, that's where they share the same lines. So my answer will be a solid dot here, a solid dot here, and a line that connects the two. Okay, that's my final answer for this problem. Okay, this is what your homework is going to be like. So we'll try doing a couple of these, 3 of them hopefully. I should have enough time even though we lost some. But 3 of them, and that'll kind of get us to where we need to be, okay? So let's start off by going to the first page. Okay, we're going to do number 8 for sure. But let's start off by going to the first page. I did question 2 for my students, so let's look at question 2. All right, so the absolute value of r over 7 is less than 1. Now to get the absolute value of r by itself, I'm going to have to multiply both sides by 7. Okay, so I'm going to multiply by 7 on that side. So I get absolute value of r is less than 7. So now I have my absolute value all by itself. At this point is when I ask myself, is this an and or an or problem? Right? Look at the inequality. Look at this inequality right here. It's pointing to the left. That makes it an and problem. Okay? So I'm going to write that down right here. This is an and. That means when I graph it, they better be pointing towards each other. Okay? Now let's break this apart. And the nice thing about this problem is when I break it apart, I'm done because I don't have to solve for anything. But look, I'll break it apart the first time. R less than 7. And then the next time I'm going to do R. I'm going to flip the symbol and change the sign on the number. So notice this is different and this is different. But notice I'm done. So all I have to do is put those on my graph. So let's do that. Let's start with this green one here. R is less than 7. So less than means I should have an open circle. I'm going to put the lines under it, okay? So it's 7, open circle right here. And it's going to go to the left. Now the other one says r greater than negative 7. So I'm going to go to negative 7. Greater than means open circle. And I should be going to the right. My answer should be what they have in common. right there. That's what they have in common. So I'm just going to basically draw that. Now I'm actually going to draw that on top. So it looks a little bit cleaner, I guess. So that's my answer for this problem. Notice it's not super difficult to do this. You've done inequalities already. You've done absolute values already. So you're just kind of combining both of those skills, and you're using those skills to solve. Okay. I don't think this is like, oh my gosh, this is so difficult, I can never do this. Right? I mean, it's the same steps that you've done before, just with an inequality now. Okay. So let's take a look at. I did number 4 with the other class, but let's go to this one, and then we'll do 8. So notice how this one doesn't have a graph first off, so we're going to have to do one on our own. And then notice how the absolute value is already simplified for me. I don't have to do anything. So I can automatically break this apart. But before I do that, I want you guys to note that this right here is pointing to the left. So that's an AND problem. Okay, this is an AND problem. So make sure you label it. Okay, label that. So let's break this apart. N minus 7 is less than 8. What does the other one say? N minus 7 is what? Well, it's going to have a negative 8. What about the symbol? It's going to switch, so it's going to be greater than, right? I mean, literally, that's the hard part right there. After that, it's just solving. So let's add 7 to both sides on the first equation, or inequality, sorry. So we get n less than 15. Okay, cool. This other one, I'll add 7. And I get n greater than negative 1. So I need to go from negative 1 to a 15. That's a huge amount of numbers I got to cover. So that's okay. Let's draw a graph here. And I'll go by 4s, okay? I'm going to go by 4. So 0, 4, 8, all right, 8, 12, 16, and I'll do the same thing this way. And again, for you guys, you already have the graphs and stuff on your multiple choice, so you don't have to worry about doing this. Now, I need to draw n less than 15. So less than means it's going to be an open circle. Okay, so 15 is about here, so here you go. It's going to the left because it's saying less, so the left. And then n greater than negative 1. So I'm going to go to negative 1, which is about here. Greater than is an open circle, and it's pointing to the right, so I'm going to go to the right. They share this little area right here. So I'm going to put my answer on the bottom of the graph, okay? Here to there, and connect the dots. So there's my solution. I mean, is this really that much harder than the stuff you've been doing? Not really, right? It's pretty much the same thing, just a little twist to it, right? It's just a small twist to it. Like you're going to have to do this with an inequality now. So let's go to question number 8. And you can see this is as difficult as it can get. Yeah, this will be the last one. I wanted to do 4, but I noticed most people were like, we get it. So I figured let's just start, let's end with a difficult one, and then that'll be it. So here we go. Rewriting the problem here, we got 3 plus 7, absolute value of 6 plus x is greater than 17. What do I move first? All right, so We have a 3 and a 7 on the outside of the absolute value. Which one should I go with first? The 3. Okay. I'm going to show you a little interesting thing that I learned in high school as to how to help myself when I'm trying to solve. Like, how do I know what to move first? The 3 is going to be moved first, okay? But I'll show you that little thing in a bit. So minus 3. So we end up with 7. Absolute value of 6 plus x is greater than 14. And now what do I do? All right, so let's get that 7 out by division, right? So I get absolute value of 6 plus x is greater than 2. And now I'm done, right? Like, I have it set up. Is this an and or an or problem? Notice the inequality is pointing away from it. That's or, right? This is an or problem. So we know that they're going to be going in opposite directions. Okay? So let's go ahead and solve this. I'm going to break it into two parts. 6 plus x is greater than 2. 6 plus x is less than negative 2. Again, you guys should be comfortable solving this stuff here. Just subtract by 6. So x is greater than negative 4. Right here we'll subtract by 6. X is less than negative 8. All right, so I got my two answers. Okay, x is greater than negative 4, and x is less than negative 8. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use my own graph, okay? That way I don't have to go back up here. I just use my own. All right, so negative 4, negative 8, I can go by 2's just to kind of make it look a little more spread out. So we'll put a 2 here, a 0, negative 2, negative 4, negative 6, negative 8, just to make it look a little nicer, right? We'll start off with the first inequality right here, x greater than negative 4. Okay, so I'm going to go to negative 4, and I'm going to have an open circle. And notice it says greater than, so that's going to the right side. The purple one here, x less than negative 8. So I'm going to go to negative 8 with an open circle and go left. Since this is an or problem, this is exactly what I'm expecting to see. Okay? I want them to go in different directions. All right, so I'll go ahead and stop right there.